My dear, today we have a story from an alternative reality. A story about how illogical humans turn when the explanation to the unknown they expect in return. About the unavoidable creation of fake news in order to support one's ideas and views. I'll explain to you how the seemingly logical leadership of a person can lead to repulsive human extortion, and how good intentions and measures can take from a nation all of its treasures. All of this and even more you can expect in today's animation, so let us start it without any further anticipation. The Misters explained that after the purple night, the moon, the stars and the sun as we knew them were gone. What we were seeing was a world that does not belong to us. The queen became ruthless, but she did what she had to in order to preserve the life in her kingdom. But despite her efforts, death struck harder than ever before. It showed no mercy, neither the rich nor the poor were safe from its grips, and it had an agent like no other, a killer, born inside the soil, living deep inside of people, a disease no power can save you from. His name, hunger. Civil wars broke out in every town, every village, and in every tavern on the trading routes. Hunger had the power to turn even the kindest and weakest into fearsome monsters. Death was all around, and we were in dire need of help. So we prayed to all the gods we knew. We prayed every day once we opened our eyes, and we prayed in the evening as we closed them shut. Many started doubting the gods, others speculated that the purple night made them vanish, and that we are all alone for the first time in history. I still remember the day. It was a cold summer morning. The land beneath my feet was wet from the storm last night. There were no birds singing that day, and the wind was softly blowing the unpleasant smells from the nearby village. But that time, there was a sudden note that I hadn't smelled before. I could not figure out what it was, and it intrigued me, so I decided to investigate. Once I passed over the hills, I heard chattering from the village in the valley, and so many folks gathered around something I could not see. I wanted to know what it was they were so magnified by, so I closed in. With one arm making my way through the crowds and my horse in the other, I reached the object of interest, but laying my eyes on it gave me no clarity. A massive box made of the finest metal I have ever seen. The blacksmith said humans could not have created such metal. Some villagers started yelling witchcraft, pointed to a young girl, called her a witch, and wanted to burn her for her crimes. The poor girl was paralyzed by fear and couldn't say a thing. As she was being condemned by us, came a sound so loud and piercing that the blood inside my judgmental fingers froze. My heart stopped. I lost my vision, and fear, colder than winter's night in the mountain, crawled up my spine. It reminded me I am still a human, and death I should respect. After I came back to my senses, I turned my head to see what could have made such a horrifying sound. It was to no surprise the menacing object. It apparently had a lid that was just opened. The smell that brought us all here became 10 times more potent, and we figured it out. It was food. In a second, we forgot all about the little witch and rushed into the metal box. There were stacks of food wrapped in unknown materials. We tore them open, and what we tasted was euphoria. Our souls filled up alongside our bellies. The taste was familiar enough to suggest it was from our planet, but unfamiliar enough to suggest it was not man-made. Turns out, these life-saving boxes fell from the skies into many other villages. Some said there are new gods out there trying to help us in these hard times. A week after the cargo came the deities. They looked much like us, but different. Their speech we could not understand. They too ate from the boxes, and they too slept at night in their flying metal castles. On them, armor forged by gods, and in their hands, weapons capable of complete annihilation. They were never faced by our existence. They did not try to communicate with us, and they didn't show any interest in our tokens of gratitude. However, one thing was for sure. If they wanted us gone, we would have been gone. Often we would hear thundering sounds and see lights brightening up the night sky in the far distance. We knew they were at war and nothing more. We prayed for their return every night, but it was not for their lives that we truly prayed for, but the gifts they brought with them. It all ended in just a few weeks, and they went home. There was no notice, no goodbye, no Victor. One morning, they just left, and with them, they took their knowledge and left just a few measly metal boxes. A group of brave villagers went on a scouting mission to the abandoned battlefield. Upon their return, people from all neighboring villages gathered to hear what they have to say. At first, they could not find the words needed to explain what they saw. I could see the amazement, shock, and despair into their eyes. With their voices cracking on the verge of crying, they told us that there was nothing left there. Everything is gone, not burnt, not flooded, not destroyed, just gone. There was no smell of blood, of sweat, of rotting flesh, of feces, or of anything human for that matter. There was no smell at all. There were no bodies or separate limbs, no bones or organs, nothing to suggest someone died there. We could not hear a single sound. There were no birds, no dogs or horses, no water running in the distance. Even the winds were still. But the land, oh my, the land. There were no trees, no flowers or bushes. Not even villages or castles for as far as the eyes could see. No crossing rivers. All was gone. It was all flat as an iron shirt, without a single crease in it. The sun blacked out from the sky with endless clouds. All colors were gone. It was all grey. It was death. After the brave villagers, no one dared to go there again. Some claimed they have the knowledge of the metal boxes and their origins. They explained how we now must pray to new deities if you want the famine to end. Those people started calling themselves prophets and gained a huge following. The old Victorian social hierarchy crumbled in just a few weeks. The godly warriors have abandoned us and left behind them only more suffering. They gave us no directions and shared no knowledge. We were now lost and even hungrier. Death was in every town, on every street, and in every house. Church bells ringing deep inside the village woke me up. It was still dark. I could barely hear the bells from my farmhouse. A new leader was appointed. He did not carry royal blood in his veins, nor any titles upon his name. The prophets chose him because they saw him as the new Messiah. He was a foreigner from lands far beyond the battlefields. He had seen and had spoken with the new deities. He did not carry fear in his heart and spoke of knowledge given to him by gods. He knew how to create the magical metal boxes. Praying, he said, would not bring them back. We had to construct machines ourselves that create the boxes. His speeches were magnificent. His words carried great weight with them. He spoke of unseen wonders and of blueprints for magical boxes. No women or children were free of labor, for we needed great amounts of energy and power to create those colossal structures. The leader was adamant we would have to gather every resource the Broken Kingdom offers, and more. In the years following, we drained the land of the little life it had left, and the machines just stood there, casting mighty shadows. Those mid-dreams still managed to push us forward. However, the power inside our feeble bodies was fading. We lost many souls, but they were just collateral damage for a cause greater than any human's life. Construction was done on one of the enormous monstrosities. It was so majestic and threatening at the same time, a machine bigger than anything man made. When the leader fired it up, we heard it roaring. All the clocks started moving in a rhythmic dance, and then nothing. We waited days, and the clocks just kept on turning. That is all they ever did. We ripped the life out of everything surrounding us. Even our livestock was gone, all for a false vision. The leader, with tears of guilt and despair in his eyes, quietly mumbled his last words under his nose. "They look exactly the same," he whispered. "What did I miss?" And then his neck snapped. Just a few months later, the soil, seemingly as a joke, regained its previously loved nutrition. We could again grow food and easily fuel our stomachs, but our souls were forever empty. All we were building over the years were empty shells. Nobody knew what was inside those metal machines that made them tick. When people are fascinated by an idea, they are ready to listen and to worship anyone charismatic enough who has logical answers to their questions. Those people can easily start ignoring the ugliness they are creating around them because it's simply easier that way. And that, my dears, is a form of a cult.